As members of the Global Farmer Network,
we believe agriculture is part of the solution,
not part of the problem.
We are committed to developing agricultural leaders
and sharing their stories across the globe.
We have one purpose:
to amplify the farmer's voice.
My voice.
Mi voz.
La mia voce.
My voice.
Hello, I'm Delaney Howell, host of this podcast series, and we're thrilled to continue the celebration of our 25th anniversary, a milestone year for the Global Farmer Network. Each month, we plan to continue highlighting some great themes, showcasing how our members have shown up over the last 25 years. This month, we're highlighting a voice from one of the world's most important agricultural regions, Brazil. A country that not only feeds millions, but also offers a powerful example of how farming systems can regenerate soils, capture carbon, and restore the environment. Our guest, longtime GFN member Richard Franke Dijkstra, comes from a multi-generational farming family whose story spans oceans, continents, and decades of innovation. Hailing from southern Brazil, Richard's family has helped pioneer successful no-till farming systems. His family's story, however, begins in Holland, so let's learn a little bit more about that origin story now.
My grandfather immigrated from Holland in 1947, right after World War II. He went to Brazil at the time with 40 heifers on the ship and one bull. And you can see this painted behind me here. Here is my grandfather with a bull that was also in the ship. This bull, it jumped in the sea during this cross trip. So one of the cousins of my father, he jumped right behind the bull and they fished the bull and rescued from the sea. So yeah, what would be 40 heifers without the bull? This farm where we live is bought in 1958. And he started to farm here in the 60s. He started with a dairy farm, but he found out that he was not a milk farmer, he was a grain farmer. So in the 70s, he stopped with the dairy farm and he worked only on the grain farm. In the beginning with planting soybean and wheat. Soybean in the summertime and wheat in the wintertime. With the tropical climate, with heavy rainfalls, with higher temperatures, we saw that the erosion and the degradation of the soil was increasing every year.
Richard's family history is remarkable, but it's also the foundation for a very practical truth. Their early experiences shaped the way they approached farming in Brazil.
So in 76, he started with a no-tillage year. He started in a plot of 6 hectares. And he saw that he had a good result with it. So in the next year, he put no-tillage in 100% of his area. At the time, my uncles became a fight with my father because with doing this crazy no-tillage, he lost all his credit. He knew that he needed to do something different to survive agriculturally because without that, he would lose all his soil for erosion. And what he saw after 4 years is that the erosion was totally controlled in our fields. Before of the no-tillage, he tried everything. He made terraces, contours, he made pipes to conduce the excedent water directly to the rivers and everything. All what was available in engineering was not enough to control erosion problem here. And only with no-tillage, he could really have a good control of erosion.
What strikes me about this moment is how far ahead of the curve Richard's father was. Long before soil health became a global movement, he recognized that conventional practices weren't going to work and were depleting the very resources the family depended on, and he wasn't alone for long.
He started with no-tillage and also crop rotations, and that made really the system grow up and had me every year better results in it. Our region is based on natural grassland, and the organic matter naturally here was 3.5%. Today, we had areas with 6, 8, or 10% of organic matter. That's all carbon that we put in our soil. We can do on our farms here in South 2.5 crops a year. With conventional tillage, it would not be possible to do it. If it rains today, tomorrow I'm with a planter in my field again and I can do my job in the field.
Those numbers, 6 to 10% organic matter, are extraordinary. They showcase what's possible when we prioritize soil biology, minimize disturbance, and treat carbon as the asset it is. And as Richard often says, farmers are the first to feel the impacts of climate change.
First of all, the farmer is the person that's more concerned about the damage of climate change because his industry is in an open field. I will share in Global Farmer Network where you can see what happened in soybean emergency with residue and without residue. Without residue, the soybean didn't emerge because the soil temperature goes up to 60 degrees Celsius. It's very, very high. It cooks the seed in the ground. So we did here in our farmer compares. If you compare the agricultural area on side and the forest on the other side, we have more carbon in the soil in the agricultural area than in the forest. In 64 farms that they evaluated in Brazil, these farms are putting 1.7 tons of carbon every year in the soil. We are producing food and we are putting every year a big amount of carbon to our soil. So more sustainable than that, I think it's impossible.
Hearing Richard describe these changes and the carbon being stored right beneath his boots highlights just how much progress is already happening on farms. Brazil has become a real-time case study in climate-smart agriculture, and with COP30, which was recently hosted in Brazil, the world is paying close attention to what farmers there have built.
A lot of researchers of Brazil showed to the world what we are doing in Brazil. We have 65.6 areas of the total area of Brazil covered by natural vegetation. We have only 10.8% of our area to produce grains. We have a model here in Brazil that we are keeping the nature and we are producing food, and we have a system that they can follow up, they can copy with no tillage, with cover crops, keeping residue on the top of the soil to produce sustainable food for the future of the world.
Richard also makes an important point about why these systems work. Sustainable practices don't happen in isolation. They depend on strong research and farmers learning from one another. And that's where global networks like the Global Farmer Network have become so valuable.
Every region, the research work close to the farmer alone, he has not enough knowledge and also not enough money to invest in research in his farm. What we have in Global Farmer Network with all the networking of the farmers. I see every time in that group there one is pressing one thing, and in one part of the world one already lived that condition and he can help with a solution. But the solution will not be without a good research system.
And of course, sustainability isn't just about agronomy, it's also about economics. Farmers need systems that regenerate the land and support their businesses. And in Brazil, for Richard, that balance is central to how farmers plan for the long term.
You have to look on the long term always. And talking also about money, research, it costs a lot. As a farmer, I pay 42 reals per hectare per year to the research center. And the research center, he does the research based on my needs. It pays me back every year and it gives me good results for it.
For all the complexities surrounding climate change, Richard remains optimistic. That optimism comes from what he sees every day in the field. Real improvements, real resilience, and real results.
What we can see here is that regenerative agriculture, when you work more in balance to the nature, you can have better results. You can have better crops, better yields. If you do sustainable agriculture, you will be strong for the next years.
And while farmers are doing their part, Richard hopes the broader world understands the challenges and opportunities ahead. His message to consumers and policymakers is clear and grounded in his lived experience.
They have to really know that we are doing an agriculture where we want to put at most possible carbon into our soil. It makes me have better yields, makes me lower our costs because the food that I'm producing for them is a healthy food without a high carbon step on it. I'm the person that will suffer more with climate change because my industry is an open field.
Richard's story is a reminder that climate solutions don't begin in meeting rooms or at global summits. They begin in the field. They begin with farmers like Richard, whose families have spent generations rebuilding soils, capturing carbon, and proving that sustainable agriculture is not only possible, but profitable. From soil carbon gains to global climate leadership, Richard's story showcases how farmers can drive meaningful change, one field, one decision, and one season at a time. It's clear that the past 25 years have created a lasting legacy of support, knowledge sharing, and unity within the Global Farmer Network. From the global roundtables that bring farmers together to the practical advice that transcends borders, the organization has made a profound impact, and we can't wait to see what the next 25 years will bring. If you're interested in learning more about the Global Farmer Network's mission and its members, seeing some of the things the organization is doing, and finding out how you can get involved, please visit globalfarmernetwork.org. And if you'd like to support the Global Farmer Network through a donation, you can do so at globalfarmernetwork.org/donate. If you enjoyed the podcast today, be sure to subscribe and follow the Global Farmer Network on social media: Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. Until next time, I'm Delaney Howell, and this has been the Global Farmer Voices podcast.